Hey Nim fam, hope you're good. Hope you're having a great afternoon. Welcome back to a double game week 22 Q&A with myself and Holly Shand. How are you doing, Holly?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I mean, I feel like seeing as we haven't had any Premier League football for nearly 2 weeks, it's busy.
I know.
There's been a lot going on in the FPL world.
There has been an awful lot going on, and the transfers in this window have been absolutely insane, haven't they? Like, just so many unexpected ones going on.
Yeah, I know. And I mean, like, Cancelo and Doherty in the last couple of days has just been crazy.
I know.
The amount of people that have got one of those players in their teams that are then inevitably going to have to deal with that is, you know, just crazy.
It is, and I'm actually going to weirdly miss Cancelo, I think. I'm not a Man City fan, but just all the years we've been able to have him in our FPL team, he's been a nice alternative to, say, a Robertson or a Trent, and he's been in that kind of premium department. So I think to not have him as an option is going to be really strange. I did get off of him a few weeks myself for Aki, but not that that has really helped my situation any. But yes, double game week 22 is here, and we will get into some questions. So guys, if you want to ask us any questions at all, you can either place them here in the live chat, or you can go on over to my Twitter page at FPLNim, and I have this thread on there which you are welcome to add your questions to. So Holly, we'll just jump right into this and try help some people out this week.
Yeah.
And see if it helps us out as well, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like I need it.
I know. Tell me about it. Okay, so I've just got Marcus's team up on the screen. And he asks, "Hi Nim and Holly, which of these two transfer plans do you prefer for my team? Thank you." He says, Martinelli to Bruno, 1 transfer. Mitrovic to Nketiah, 2 transfers. Or Wilson to Nonto. Nonto. Not sure if the G is silent, but that would be for a -4. Or do we like KDB to Fernandez, 1 transfer, and Wilson to Kane, 2 transfers? So what are you thinking on either of those?
I mean, it's difficult because we're kind of in this situation with our FPL teams where we've got triple ups on certain clubs, but maybe not the triple up that we want.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that's why, like, the Mitrovic to Nketiah move is a 2 transfer move, because
He's already got the
He's
three
already
Arsenal
tripled up on
already.
Arsenal, for
Yeah.
example. I mean, personally, I think I'd just do De Bruyne to Fernandes. That's the move that I'm eyeing up.
Yeah.
I don't think the Wilson to Kane for 2 frees is necessary, given that Kane plays City this week. Martinelli to Bruno Fernandes also works, as long as there's a plan in the following week to, potentially get to Nketiah, who you're obviously interested in, Marcus, or potentially going to Odegaard as well. So I think that's where I would be with those moves.
Yeah, struggling with this one a little bit because I have Martinelli and I'm really unsure what to do with him. I'm an Arsenal fan and every week I'm watching him and he looks great. Like he looks like he could score like a boatload of goals, but they just haven't been coming. And I was with the Juice guys last night and I was saying that Arsenal starting to remind me a little bit of a Liverpool last season or a City, where the goals are starting to get shared around quite a lot. So you could easily sell one of Martinelli or, I don't even know, White, for instance, and they could easily punish you, So it's a tough one to get your head around with those. I have said quite a few times on my own video and several other places that I don't mind the Bruno in for KDB move as long as you have an option to get back either to KDB next game week or Amares, because you are going to want, as many City players as you can have. And Marcus, like myself, has Aki, so makes it tough to go with the double attack, double midfield attack for City there. So yeah, I think I'm probably with you. I don't, like you said, I don't think Kane is needed this week. In fact, if he ends up blanking, I think in 28, then he's going to potentially blank in 25 and 28, I think. Maybe.
25's League Cup, isn't it? I think it's just
28. Okay. I was wondering if it could be a bit of a time where we could be considering getting off of Kane to free up a bit of cash at the moment. So I'm not really sure. But then he's so consistent, isn't he, Holly? We said this week in, week out on here that he is a tough sell. The problem I've got this week is if I go with my transfers that I'm thinking of going with, then I could potentially be with 7 players up top and not really know who to drop with only really Kane having a poor fixture in Man City, and just dropping him to the bench feels...
Yeah, you can't bench Kane.
No, you can't bench him.
Like, City's defence hasn't been that great, has it? And, it's a home game. He's on pens.
Yeah.
I think he's got an okay record against the top 6, but I've not specifically looked into it. But yeah. Given his goal scoring this season, especially because, like, Haaland's on the pitch as well, and obviously Haaland's become a bit of Kane's nemesis, hasn't he, this season? That Kane's having his best season ever, but it's not going to be mentioned because Haaland is just obliterating every Premier League record that's ever been.
I actually don't mind though, Marcus, if you wanted to potentially sell on White and go with the 3 Arsenal attackers, but I don't think it's necessary for this week. It's something you could think about next week for the double. So hopefully some of that or all of that helped. But yeah, I don't think the -4 for Kane this
week.
Is
really difficult at the moment. I think that's why so many of us are struggling.
Yeah, I agree. So Belvagor has asked a few questions, which I think a lot of people will probably want the answers to, so we will work through them. He says it's all around the January signing. So does Jorginho's pen potential significantly change Saka's value? So I could quickly take this one. I don't think it will. I don't think it will. I don't think anything will change in terms of the structure at Arsenal. it's the same when everyone said, oh, Trossard's coming in, Martinelli's going to lose his place. I think Arteta has his starting 11. The players he's brought in this window are just for backup. So it's great that Jorginho can score penalties. That's never a bad thing for a team. But I think that's likely going to be more seen in, say, our Europa fight, where we maybe have taken Saka off in the 60th minute and, we need somebody then to step up and potentially take a penalty, then Jorginho will take it. So for the moment, I don't think it's going to be an option. I think it would severely put Saka's nose out of joint if Arteta just suddenly went, okay, here's Jorginho, give him all the penalties, So don't know if Holly agrees, but for me, I don't think anything's changing in that Arsenal side anytime soon with the setup.
Yeah, I've got to agree. I mean, it's basically the signings that Arsenal have made in this window are insurance, because they should win the Premier League now, barring some sort of catastrophe, and they've strengthened in every position so that they can, continue to deliver those performances, even if, all of the front four got injured, for example, or all of the back line got injured. So I think, we'll probably see Jorginho maybe in the Europa League, because, that schedule is pretty brutal, March, April, May, of those European ties, and it can't be a distraction for Arsenal. It's a stacked Europa League as well. You've got Barcelona in there, Juventus in there as well. So it's going to be a mad few months on that. So I think that's why. I think even if Jorginho somehow became a regular starter, if there was injuries elsewhere, I still think Saka would be on pens. Like, he's not missing pens.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing's changed. He hasn't, suddenly become a bad asset. So I don't see him being taken off, and I don't think it'll be an issue. But yes, little bit worrying that the pressure is on Arsenal now, as kind of this maybe being our potential really good opportunity to win the league. It's given the fact that Chelsea have strengthened. You can see City and Liverpool heavily investing in the summer. I think it's Man United looking really good under Ten Hag. I think, we're going to go all in, but I don't think anything will change with Saka. Okay, so what does Eriksen's absence mean for United is the next question.
So I think there's a little bit of a central midfield crisis going on now, because they have managed to bring in a player yesterday just to provide a little bit of cover. They've also got Casemiro still available, Fred as well. So I don't think it will affect them defensively. And, in terms of the fixtures they've got for the double, like, clean sheets should be fairly straightforward for them in those games anyway, you'd think. It does mean potentially more of a license to get forward for Bruno Fernandes, a greater involvement in set pieces as well, because he's not sharing them with Eriksen. So it makes Bruno even more attractive for the double. That's kind of the key takeaway.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I can actually get him in without selling KDB. So,
same.
Yeah. And do you think you're going to still sell KDB then, Holly?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really on my radar initially, but then, Bruno Fernandes has continued to do well in the cup games since, and this Eriksen news just flips it more in his favour. Probably a bit of FOMO in there as well, as I've seen everyone on FPL Twitter with Fernandes in their team or coming into their team. But yeah, I think because I'm not sat on De Bruyne long term as being part of my City triple,
is that it then? So if you can get to Bruno and keep KDB, why then would you sell him on out of interest?
Well, I can't. That's my problem.
Okay.
Yeah, because I've got Kane and Haaland, so it's like it's De Bruyne or Bruno Fernandes. I can't have both. So yeah, that's why I'm looking at making that move. And because I've kind of got through this last 2 weeks relatively unscathed in terms of the shape of my squad, and I've got those 2 free transfers, I just think, why not? I was initially thinking of changing my Arsenal attackers round and going Martinelli to Odegaard, but it just feels like too much of a luxury move right now when, you know, Martinelli continues to pass the eye test.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, we'll chat a little bit more about that in a second. I'll bring up my team and we can have a little kind of discussion over that. But any Chelsea players that we have our eye on?
Not for me. I'm very cynical when it comes to players that are new to the Premier League in the transfer window. And I don't see it as a big deal either because they're all 0% owned at the moment. So it's not a massive one. I like to see players settle into the Premier League. And Chelsea have got so many options at the moment anyway that it's going to take Potter a long time to embed those signings and get like an idea of what his main 11 is. And we'll see. I'm not rushing.
I have to admit, the tiny amount of time that I saw Mudryk on the field last week, I was a bit gutted that Arsenal didn't get it across the line because he did look really, really good. But I am wondering what all of the changes are going to mean for Chelsea, and is Potter going to know, you know, what the best shape is, who the best gelling is? That's my thing. Like, these players are amazing and who Chelsea have invested in are great. But for FPL, I'm with Holly here. I think you have to wait it out a little bit. I mean, that there are some players like Haaland at the beginning of the season you feel like you can take a bit of a punt on. And if things don't go right, then you can get off of them. But at this stage of the season where we've got proven players that are getting proven points with double game weeks coming up, I wouldn't necessarily be choosing a Chelsea player over one of those right now, personally. Okay, and then the last one was, are you more confident in any City defenders with Cancelo going?
No, not really.
Aki owner here.
Yes, I mean, Stones was the one, but then he's picked up that hamstring injury again.
Yeah.
You know, Akanji, Ake, Rico Lewis all look like they could be good options.
Yeah.
Maybe just wait a week. But every time we think you've got a kind of consistently nailed City player, you get a curveball. And I think the curveball this time was that Pep went relatively full strength for the FA Cup win against Arsenal, but there were a few surprises in the back line again that... Yeah. I mean, I've still got Kyle Walker in my squad.
Have you still got it?
Yeah.
You are holding out hope, my friend. Are you keeping him for the double? Are you keeping him for the double?
Well, I mean, I don't know if everyone else is in the same case as me, but I looked at what my 11 would be for game week 23, and the bench is horrendously strong. And you just look at Walker, who could just get a 1 and a 1 if you're lucky. And then you're benching, you know, the likes of Botman that's got a really good fixture. And I think Andres Pereira's got a decent fixture as well. And you can just see the pain coming.
You can. You really, really can. Okay. Yeah.
But you want a City triple up for 23.
You do.
Naturally.
That's it. And if you've got a defender already, like we both have, it's tough because we've no idea that they're actually going to start. So I think this is another thing where I'm kind of like, oh, do I sell KDB? Because could I somehow jammy it next week with a bit of a hit where I sell, like, say Aki doesn't play the minutes this week, then I could sell him and potentially move like to Mahrez or Grealish or somebody. And,
I know what you mean. And keep De Bruyne.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's... I might need to look at that for my own team, see what funds I've got to work with. I don't think...
I've been quite lucky
that I can get the same funds out, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
I don't know, could do. Oh, it's really difficult. But then, like for me, Kyle Walker, I do think he will play against Arsenal. I think he won't play against Villa, but he'll play against Arsenal with the intention of stopping Martinelli.
Yeah.
Because he did a fairly good job on him.
Good luck with that, because he
did a good job on him in the FA Cup, didn't he?
He did.
I didn't watch the game. I'm guessing you did.
Yeah, no, he did. He did keep him quiet, but I felt like they very much focused on keeping Martinelli quiet, so it wasn't just Walker. You know, others were coming across as well, and kind of.
But that means Walker will play, and that will also mean that I don't really want Martinelli for that game. Yeah. So I still want to get Odegaard. The trouble is I've got all these luxury moves that I want to make, but I can't do them all, knowing that the blanks are coming. I really want to get Matoma this week as well for Almiron.
I think like it would be a great week to wildcard if we didn't have those those, you know, like blanks just lingering there, because it'd be so easy to set up your team nicely for the next 2 doubles and, you know, and that sort of thing. But
tell me about it.
Yeah, but then obviously we just get kind of these blanks and they've kind of gone. And I think that's what's making it tough to really tie down a chip strategy as well, because I don't know if you're finding this, but I'm just finding it really tough to find a chip strategy I'm really happy on, because I still haven't used my triple captain chip. So, yeah, I think you used yours on Haaland, right?
Yeah, I would use mine. If I still had it, I would use it this week or next week.
Yeah, it's the feels, isn't it? Like, I was saying this to lads last night.
You're probably not going to get another opportunity on... I mean, there might be some small doubles involving Brighton or Liverpool, but they're not going to be, like, really attractive.
I was hoping that Arsenal one would go in, maybe. Is it 26 or 27 or something like that? I think Ben was saying about. I was hoping that going because it was like Leicester and Everton, and that I would really like to triple captain, like a Saka or something in there, you know. For the
you don't want to be left stuck with it though, do you? And then after that, it's game week 37, and there's, you know, Champions League back end, Europa League back end. You've got, you know, the league could be tied up.
Yeah. Now you're making me think about it again.
You've got to fancy it though. You can't just reluctantly play it.
That's it.
You've got to really have a good gut feeling and just back yourself on it. Else, you'll just end up frustrated.
What's the worst could happen? End up sticking it on Haaland on the last game week of the season. I mean, you know.
You could triple captain Emmanuel Dennis and he gets a red card. And you end up on a -3.
Well, have you done
People
that?
did it.
Yeah, people did do it. Okay, FPL Neil says, game week 25, 4 blanks newly confirmed. Currently own 5 players who are blank and interested in more given up and coming fixtures. So with this in mind, should I consider using a free hit in game week 25 or keep it for later on? I've only used the triple captain chips so far. Any help? Gratefully accepted.
I would say no, because we've got game week 28, which is a big blank, which will be difficult to navigate. Game week 29 is a big double. And I think there's another big double in 34, and they're all going to be, the way the fixtures are laid out, they're all going to be big weeks that are going to be difficult to navigate, where the free hit will be really useful. So I think if you've got like triple Newcastle and triple United or something like that, obviously I think you can hold your Newcastle players for sure, because Trippier's going nowhere. You'll have a ton of value banked up in him. And Newcastle are actually playing in blank game week 28.
Yeah.
So I think you're fine to hold your Newcastle players through. In terms of the United players, you could probably sell Luke Shaw by that point, because they're probably going to blank in 28 as well. So you're only going to get 2 fixtures from.
That's a great shout. I never even thought about that, because
he's not a player that we've got a load of value tied up in. Rashford's a form player. If his form drops in the next few games, you can hop off him and bring him back later. Like, I think beyond the Newcastle players, and potentially if you've got Matoma in your squad and he's cheap enough to bench and he's still doing well, I think you could probably sell the others by that point and start setting yourself up for blank game week 28.
Yeah, I think it's the sort of thing where I was considering getting Botman this week, and to be honest, the blank hasn't necessarily put me off. because, like you said, because of them playing in game week 28. And not only that,
Botman and not Shah?
Well, you know, any of them really, I guess, just a bit of extra cash. But then I guess he's probably the same as him now, is he, or if not more? One of those, anyway. But I think my feeling is very much that I won't. If I get to 25, that's what, 2 game weeks away, I'm likely maybe 0.1 into him. It's not going to be a terrible sell if I decide, oh, suddenly I can't sell Shaw or I can't sell Rashford. Do you know what I mean? And then I'm only one player I've got to lose, you know? And and
you don't need to have 11 that week either.
No,
like 9 or 10 might be all right.
It's going to be fine, I think. And it'll be the kind of game week where I think people will potentially destroy their team to try and fill, you know, to try and have 11 players, where if you're happy just to ride it out with 9 or 10, come back the next game week with a good lot of players in your team, then I don't see the... It's not a free hit week. I think we both agree on that. You know, I think 28, potentially, I say, going to be a big blank. Sorry, just looking at Ben Krellin's spreadsheet here. Could even use the free hit in the big double, maybe in 29. If you wanted to kind of go all out. But I tend to end up bench boosting in a big double like that. I don't know if you do the same, Holly.
Yeah, it's just that the reason why you wouldn't bench boost in 29 is that you kind of need to use your wild card before the bench boost to set yourself up. So it wouldn't really work for that one. I think that's why most people look to either wild card or free hit 29 and then bench boost in 34.
Yeah. Well, I guess you could wild card 27, free hit in 28 for the blanks, and then use your bench boost in 29, knowing that you've set it up from 27, if that makes sense. So that's one way around it. But either way, I think your free hit's going to be more valuable to you later down the line. So cool. Okay, guys, I'm just going to chuck my team up on screen for you, and we'll come to some questions in the chat, and we'll see if there are any that stand out. So we've got hi guys, hi Focus, hi Wiley, Ez asks KDB for Kane, for Bruno. KDB or Kane for Bruno.
I think KDB to Bruno's the route to go.
Yeah, that's tough, but Kane has been so consistent this season, whereas I guess Mahrez is somewhat matching KDB at the moment, isn't he, for a lot less. So I think when you look at it like that, then you're probably, it's just the double. That's the only slight kind of thing, is if you feel like you will want KDB back for the double the week after, then I am somewhat reluctant to kind of move on, you know, and then move off again, or the other way around. Sorry, move off, move on again. So that would be my only concern. So really just think about whether you would feel comfortable going without KDB for the double. And if you feel like covering Mahrez or Grealish will be enough for you, then I feel like it's okay to do that. But if you feel like you're just going to move back again, if you've got no other fires in your team, then it's all good. But yeah, if you have other fires, then it's probably not going to be so great. So so this is my team up on screen, guys, and I do have enough currently to do Mitrovic out. I think that I'll just double check Ben's schedule. Do go check Ben out on Twitter, guys, if you if you want to. So Fulham will likely blank in game week 28, and they haven't necessarily been the best team in the world. They do have a nice fixture, 23-24, but I'm not. Then they do have Wolves, Brentford and Arsenal, who've all been pretty good defensively. For me, I'm potentially seeing it as an opportunity maybe to get Nketiah in now. I wouldn't have enough money to do Almiron to Bruno. I would have to go the KDB route in that instance. Which somewhat potentially lessens my value when I can do Mitrovic to Nonto and Almiron to Bruno as we speak, because I have a nice tasty 2.9 in the bank. So
I don't really like the lead strikers. How much is Nonto?
5 mil though, that's the thing. Yeah. It's not breaking the bank, and it allows me to get
if Fernandez. I was backing anyone, I'd back Bamford, but you're not going to be able to do that move at his price. But
no, I actually
Bamford
really
loves
fancy
FPL.
Bamford.
He loves the double game week. I was chatting to Gianni on Twitter, and he said, I said, Bamford loves FPL. Like, you back him in the double, and Gianni said, I bet he's going to triple captain himself.
Yeah, he probably would, actually. Yeah, no, I that's it. Do you think he lose time to Nonto?
Yeah.
You do? You think, so you think Gnonto's like first place and then Bamford is going to kind of be
No, I think Bamford,
or do you think it's the other way around?
Because Bamford's, I know, was Nonto suspended?
He was.
The cup?
He was
Bamford started and did really well.
Yeah.
There's been a week since. I don't know.
Yeah. It's a tough one, isn't
Bamford.
it? Yeah, I have thought about him myself, but yeah, it would mean that I'd have to find another way, basically, to Bruno, whereas this particular setup at the moment, that 0.7 allows me potentially to get Matoma in for Andreas. But it's then who do I bench this week? Because
do you not want to go Mitrovic to Nketiah?
You've
only got 2 Arsenal players and they play Everton.
They are. This is the other thing. See, I could easily get Nketiah there, but then I probably would have to take a punt on a Casemiro or an Anthony or something instead of Fernandez, because I just don't know about losing Bruno because of the potential Liverpool double, because going De Bruyne to Salah is just so easy, and if Liverpool get that double, it's tough to kind of. So, it's not put in yet, is it? What would it be, 25 that they potentially go in? Crystal Palace and Wolves for Liverpool. Yeah, that's tough. It is tough. I did consider maybe doing this, but dropping KDB to Mahrez now, so it's just kind of done, if you see what I mean. And then I think that does give me the money to get Nketiah up top by some way for a -4.
What if Mahrez gets injured this week, though?
You're not helping my situation here.
I know.
If he gets dropped, then do I have enough money? I probably wouldn't have enough money to go for Bruno back to KDB, but if he did, then I guess we'd know maybe Foden or Grealish was nailed, and then Fernandez, I guess, or Mahrez could go to one of those next week. Yeah. The other thing, obviously, is to do what some others have done and get rid of White. So, yeah.
You don't want to be losing an Arsenal player, though, when they've got a good fixture this week and then triple. Double next week.
This is it. This is why the Nonto transfer is just, it's somewhat easier, like in the fact that next game week I can just simply, if I've got if I've gone for Nonto, he can be bench, so like it makes my life a bit easier there. And this will be Bruno, so Bruno can become a very easy hop along to Saka, and then I'd have Martinelli, Saka and White for the Arsenal double.
Yeah.
And I'd still have Aki, De Bruyne and Haaland for City's double. And that would be for free. So that's why I'm kind of potentially looking that route. But yeah, I am with you. It is tough because I think somebody did ask us, what do we think of Nketiah? So I'll throw that to you before I answer it. Holly, what is your thoughts on Nketiah and maybe prioritising him over maybe some of the other Arsenal players?
Well, before the brace against United, I was thinking of moving Nketiah on to double up on the midfield along with Gabriel. But obviously the brace changed things.
You've got him.
I think he's like second for XG since the restart. So I guess like while Jesus is out injured, I can't see him really getting rotated in the league. Unless Martinelli moved forward, but there'd be no reason to do that while he's fit and firing. So, I mean, I'm still confused on which Arsenal triple up is the one to own. I think if it was on a wild card this week, I'd go Nketiah and Odegaard, and then it'd be a toss-up between Saka or a defender.
Yeah, same.
But we had a similar conversation 2 weeks ago, and every time you see them play, you change your mind based on who's got the points in the last game.
I know. This is what I mean. It's just so difficult at the moment to pick which one to go with. Do we have any? And Nassim said I would still make Kane to Nketiah, Almiron to Bruno. Hi John. He said he has made his transfer already. He's done Cancelo to Estupinan. Fulham have the FA Cup replay. Yeah, that's basically what I was saying with Mitrovic, pretty much. So, what do we fancy? Came up last night in a bit of conversation. What are our thoughts on Beghurst instead of Anonto?
I think Ten Hag said Martial was coming back.
Is he close?
I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah. That would put the cat amongst the pigeons, wouldn't it?
It's just not worth it. He's only scored 2 Premier League goals ever.
I know.
For his time at Burnley.
Didn't we all have him for that double, I think, last season? He did nothing for us. It's so funny. FPL Yellow Army says, would you do Martinelli to Rodrigo, a name we haven't yet discussed, Almiron to Odegaard, and Mitrovic to Eddie, no third Man United or KDB, or would you do KDB to Bruno, Miggy to Mahrez, and Eddie or KDB to Bruno? Okay,
I wouldn't go with Rodrigo because I think his numbers haven't really been there since the restart. I know he's had a goal, but change around in that attack. So I don't think any of the Leeds attackers really are worth it, even though they've got this double. I think KDB to Bruno is the one. I guess the question, I would do KDB to Bruno in terms of weighing up whether to get Nketiah in or Saka as the third Arsenal. I mean, it is a little bit of a coin. Yeah, it's a bit of a coin toss, but
see, every time I think you can go without Saka and get Odegaard for a cheap price, then Saka does something, and I'm like, oh, and then I'm back to like, do I need Saka in my team rather than Odegaard? And this is where I wish we still had the all-out attack chip, because it'd be nice in that Arsenal double just to kind of go with all three, of whoever
all
looks
four.
great. Or
let's have 4 Arsenal players for me.
That's what's great about Sky, so you can do that. You can go all in on as many from one team as you like. Okay, we've got a new one on this post, I believe, from Focus. So let me just refresh.
Oh, I've lost it. It's on Twitter.
Yeah. Okay, let me just open that up and I'll switch the screen over, people.
I got it.
There we go. He says 2 free transfers and 2.4 million in the bank. What moves are you suggesting? Just to say, guys, if you're new to the channel, please do like and subscribe, and also check out Holly's channel, and the link will be in the description below. Okay, cool. So this is a great team, Focus. Loving that you're all out Odegaard and Saka up. That's cool. What moves would we make? I'm not. Leon Bailey, there's a differential for you, Holly.
So he's got triple City, triple Arsenal.
Oh yeah, he's got Edson. Yeah, I didn't see him.
2 United players, but one of them is Martial.
Yeah,
I think getting Luke Shaw in, and should be able to go Patterson to Shaw, just eventually.
Yeah. Or if he wants to save himself a bit of money and not worry about the Liverpool double, then Robertson to Shaw would definitely kind of give him a bit of extra cash. In which case then
I think I would get Shaw in.
Yeah, then you could upgrade Bailey, couldn't you, easily?
The thing is, with Bailey, I don't know how many teams do, but I know that Villa definitely have a fixture in 25 and 28. Which makes Bailey quite an attractive option because he's been getting his returns. I guess the other issue is that Mitrovic is on the bench. I don't know whether I would bench Mitrovic, but if you're really not feeling Mitrovic, sell him. But I guess because he's got triple Arsenal already.
Who for? Yeah.
It's perhaps not the easiest one to weigh up in terms of who to replace with.
Then again, if he gets Shaw, he couldn't potentially get Bruno, could he, for De Bruyne, of which he could do now, to chase the double. So I guess instead of getting Shaw, he could go potential all out on United attack if Martial is back. Obviously keep an eye on the pressers, Focus, but if maybe Martial was in contention to play, you could do De Bruyne to Bruno as Holly's looking at herself. Oh, thank you, new subscriber. I think, who was that? Dave, thank you, Dave. Welcome to the Nimfam. Yeah, so you could, I guess, shift on to Bruno there and go all out attack but United have been pretty good in defence, haven't they, recently? And not having one of the defenders for the double does feel a bit kind of futile. So Shaw is a good shout. We shouldn't be worried that he hasn't played too much recently, Holly?
The word from United is illness. I think I heard someone speculating on Twitter that he's had COVID, so he missed the League Cup semi-final first leg last midweek. Then he missed the FA Cup at the weekend. Whether he's back in the squad tonight for League Cup, but surely he'll be fine by the weekend. Like, he's kind of missed nearly 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
But just keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
That would cause absolute carnage. But the thing is, I think you'd even back him just in one game, wouldn't you, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
true.
Rather than making luxury moves to chase another United player for 1 week.
Yeah. That's a good point. Very good point. Yaya says, would you do KDB to Bruno Fernandes and Almiron to Mahrez? So
yeah, I've just seen this one, and then I'm thinking I could do those moves.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much what I was looking at, wasn't it, there a minute ago with my own team, to kind of fund Nketiah up top.
Yeah, I guess I was looking at Almiron in my team, and I was tempted to switch to Matoma because I feel like I want Matoma, and it's now or never, given that he blanks in 25 and 28. But you kind of got that gamble of Brighton could get another double in between that makes holding him through that period okay. But I don't know whether I'd get Mahrez in for Almiron this week or not. Whether that just reduces your flexibility going forward, just because it's the Spurs game this week. You could just do KDB to Bruno, hold the other transfer and have 2 for next week. Because I don't know whether Mahrez for that game is really... I did do well in the reverse fixture though, didn't he?
He did.
What did he do in a 4-2? He got 17 points with 2 goals and an assist.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like the suggestion, Yaya, because you're giving me another like potential transfer headache.
See, this is what I'm thinking, and yeah, I quite like that. I do quite like that because that also leaves me 3.8 in the bank,
it means that if you're buying Bruno this, because I was planning to do KDB to Bruno this week and then Bruno to Mahrez
next week.
Yeah. But this way, I can keep Bruno.
Yeah.
Given that in 25, I mean, it's given me another player for blank game week 25, which is a problem. But it then gives you the Leeds and Leicester fixtures.
Yeah, it does. And I quite like it because it is leaving me a lot of money in the bank as well, which I could then maybe shift Andreas up to, you know, somebody. If I really wanted to next week for a -4, I could potentially get Saka in for Andreas and drop White to somebody. So it's that extra money that Mahrez and KDB gives you. The question is Mahrez more nailed than, well, he's not going to be more nailed, but you know with KDB he's going to start every match. But you also know that Bruno's starting every match. In this case, what I've got on the screen here, I also know that Fernandes is likely, touch wood, anything happening tonight, to start both matches. Nketiah, you know, we're assuming Jesus himself said something like 4 to 5 weeks. So we're assuming Nketiah gets this week against Everton and the double. And then you're just edging your bets that Mahrez can outscore KDB effectively over the next 3 game weeks, which doesn't seem so terrible for a -4. If in my case, or even for free if some people just literally want to, if they've already got Nketiah like yourself, you know, and it still leaves scope next game week to potentially jiggle things around again. Say I want Saka, if I don't want to keep Fernandes, I could get Saka in for Fernandes and then move White out, but I know it's tricky to do that, but I you know, Arteta has been hooking White early. I want to be able to see this week if we can keep a clean sheet against Everton, because if we can't keep a clean sheet against Everton, then keeping a defender for the double is not filling me with a whole lot of, you know, of confidence. Or it may be that I decide that I want to beef up and go City attack. It also does leave me money to get to a Liverpool midfielder in the bank if I want it. So it's thinking about what those transfers, whilst they might seem mad, it's a sideways move, KDB to Mahrez, it's what that extra money can give you in the next couple of game weeks. That's quite nice.
So many headaches.
And then I'd even probably go one better by putting Patterson up to one of the Newcastle defenders. Just because I love a bit of bat shizzle. So I reckon Botman rather than Shah, because Shah is like 5'2", right?
Yeah, it's 0.7 million difference.
So yeah,
Shah is due a goal big time.
Yeah,
he's topped the shots among defenders since the restart. So you can find the 0.7, it could be worth it. But yeah.
Oh, you know what? Fine. I am loving that for the next couple of weeks. Ooh. See, that's it, isn't it? It's what's going to give you the best team for the next few weeks. So you've inspired us a bit there, Yaya. We don't hate it, I guess, is probably the is probably the answer, given we're both now considering it ourselves. So yeah. John, if you'd had Trossard before the shirt change, you could have for Arsenal. Yes, but you'll be able to make no other changes in your team, unfortunately, and then you've got to hope that Trossard comes on every game and does something, which, you know, yeah. Hi, NS Sports TV, welcome. And Aston says, in Game Week 23, would you prefer Bruno to Mahrez? Don't like having Bruno just for 1 week, or keep Bruno and solve a problem. Doherty to Aki.
Yeah, I think maybe solving the problem.
Yeah.
It depends if you've got another City attacker alongside Haaland already, because you kind of don't want to be going into the double with less than with just Haaland.
Yeah. Oh, this is the thing though as well though. I'm just there going, but I could have an extra double game week player this week if I just go with Nonto. But that's even if he starts both, you know, with Bamford back in the
just
fold.
Avoid Leeds, I would.
She's talking me into it. She's like, no, don't go there. Go.
It's like, honestly, like there's so much going on that it's really difficult to justify a luxury transfer.
Agree. I guess I'm not going to want him much after that, am I? The only problem is not price-wise. Price-wise, I can get Matoma in this squad easy, but who then do you drop out of Nketiah, Haaland, Kane, Fernandes, Rashford, Mahrez, Martinelli and Matoma? I mean, the problem this year isn't budget, is it? It's like, who do you play each week for that very cheap budget?
Having the right triple ups at the right time, it feels like.
Yeah. And KDB is just such a tough one because you know he's going to start. That's the thing. You know he's going to start. Do we know that Mahrez is going to start?
No.
What are you thinking now, Holly? Anything swayed you?
I mean, KDB to Bruno was always the transfer, and it still is. Almiron to Matoma, I'm less keen on this week now because I feel like it's a luxury move, and especially because I could do Almiron to Mahrez next week and keep Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah.
I kind of want to keep rolling a transfer if I can. Like this week I could do KDB to Bruno and have triple United for the double. Then if I go Almiron to Mahrez, I've got triple City for the double, but one of them's Walker. Triple Arsenal, but one of them's Martinelli. But then I'm dead flexible after that. Like I've got 2 free transfers then for next week, so I could do Martinelli to Odegaard if I really wanted to. If we saw Trossard getting Martinelli getting hooked early for Trossard, that could tempt me to make that move. I've got the potential to move Walker to another City defender next week as well. I just want to stay flexible at this point because kind of my rule for FPL is if you're not sure, do nothing. I've got to do something because I've got 2 free transfers, but I think the simplest thing I can do is De Bruyne to
I think you having Nketiah puts you a step ahead of most of us, if I'm honest. And that's where I'm going to have to use my extra transfer, whether it's this week or next week. I'm going to have to use that extra transfer on an Arsenal player. It's whether I go Nketiah this week or whether I go Saka next week is pretty much where I'm at. But even going with this, if I did the Mahrez thing for De Bruyne, it would mean that technically if I wanted to for free, I could just do Martinelli to Saka or Martinelli to Odegaard if Martinelli is still not looking great. Ooh, it's tough. It's very, very tough. And the thing is, not much is really going to change tonight, is it? Let's be honest. No. I think the likelihood is that United are going to blank and that's where we're at. So I think it now is the time to start thinking about what you would do. And I do have the option, like yourself, I could play Mitrovic and I could just do De Bruyne to Fernandes. And if I wanted to do Almiron to Matoma, very tempted. But there's a bit of me that feels like if I take a bit of a hit now and set my team up for the next few weeks, then whilst I won't necessarily have the transfer that you will have, hopefully I won't need to use as many, if that makes sense, as I go along. FPL Army says the problem with doing Mahrez in 23 for Almiron means keeping Almiron for another week. I mean, it's not a terrible fixture.
I can bench him though for Botman, which I probably would do, so I've not got that pain.
It's West Ham at home, and Almiron did get an assist last night. So I don't think you can say, oh, just because he's blanked for several weeks in a row that he's definitely going to blank at home to West Ham. I mean, it's not like he doesn't have the potential to get something. He does, right? That's why he's been in our team all these weeks. So it's not an awful thing if you have to keep him in your team. I don't think, anyway. Right, guys. We'll just go one more. Mr. Wright, he says Doherty to Shaw, Patterson to, is that Varane? For a -4 and bench White. Yeah, we haven't really thought about who we would I wouldn't bench White. Play if,
I don't think taking a -4 and then benching White is the right decision. I think Doherty to Shaw is fine, provided that we get news that Shaw is recovered from his illness.
Yeah. Otherwise, yeah. See, I will have a headache if I get Botman this week. I will have to decide. Well, I would probably have to play both the Newcastle defenders, right? Surely, and then Shaw because of his double, which means I'll have both Aki and White on the bench, which seems somewhat mad.
I would bench White over. I would bench Botman over White, I think.
Would you?
Yeah.
So then there wouldn't be much point in getting him in this week.
No.
The extra hit.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
like if you don't really need that player this week, I think rolling the transfer is just way safer.
Yeah. Yeah, I think White has to be played, right? And we have to give him that chance and see what happens this week. And hope that he doesn't get hooked early. Because Arteta has hooked him early now in 2 games that I've started him in. So I'm starting to get a bit of a kind of complex that he's doing it on purpose, because every other time he sat on my bench and got clean sheets. So watch out if you're playing White this week, because if I'm playing him, then good luck. Right, guys. It's been great that you've joined us today. Thank you so much. It's been brilliant. Thank you so much, Holly. It's meant a lot to me that you've come on again today. Do go check Holly out on all her channels. Holly, where can people find you?
So you can find me at Holly Shand on Twitter, YouTube and Instagram, and on TikTok I'm Holly_Shand.
Cool. And we will hopefully be back this time next week, and I will be back with the ladies hopefully tomorrow evening at 8 PM, I believe, for the FPL Late Show. So any other questions you might have regarding anything, then come and join us. But until then, take care. Nymphria and Holly out.